Can you believe it? This is just absolutely insane.
Head into the mystery of the African wilderness live right here on Wild Earth.
There she goes. She's coming right towards us.
From the wilds of the Greater Kruger to the majestic dunes of the Kalahari.
Live, this is happening right now.
This is one of the big safari specials on any reserve.
Tune in to meet our captivating animal characters and talk to the experts in real time, only on Wild Earth. Include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
A warm welcome to all our viewers. We're currently watching a pride of 7 lions, and you can see this is that time of the day where all of them are just down sleeping at the moment. And only later on, as it starts cooling down, hopefully they'll start moving. They're quite close to the water. So I'd like to encourage everyone to come jump on board on this live safari here in the African bush. Notice these lions right down in the middle of the screen. You'll notice there's actually 3 lions lying down together there. There's one in the back facing the opposite direction, and then there's that young white male, and then a bigger female off to the right. Now this is all part of that pride that we refer to as the Birmingham Pride that has the 2 white lions within the pride. But you can see there's a few youngsters here with that 2 bigger females and a few youngsters, and then the 2 males just off to the side. So I'm Nikki here at Ambion NGALA, so I'm going to be your ranger for this afternoon, and with me on the camera is Gert. So before we head back towards these lions, I just wanted to take the time just to show you more or less where these lions have been moving over the last little while. So currently we are right over here at this pan on the side of the reserve. So you'll notice it's this side here is on the eastern side, this side here is the western side, this side here is south, and this is north. And so over the last little while, the lions have been spending quite a bit of time in the central part of the reserve. And during the evening, yesterday they had a kill on a giraffe right over here, and they moved all the way down towards this waterhole here. They had a drink, and then later on this morning, a herd of elephants chased them, and they eventually moved a little bit south of this waterhole and decided to come and lie down in this open area here. But I can see that one male is actually turning around onto his back. Just look at the size of this male. He is just so comfortable at the moment. Just look at the way that he's lying down. Now, often if lions have had quite a big meal, they'll lie down on their back because it's just a little bit easier for them, more comfortable than lying flat like this.
Jumbo, and hello everybody, and a very warm afternoon from a very warm afternoon in the MAASAI Mara, and we are starting our drive with some reptiles there, and I'm sure you all know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about some crocodiles, and definitely they are lying or enjoying some sun on the one and only river in this area that we call the Mara River. Jumbo everybody one more time. My name is David, and on camera today is Bungei. Bungei, how are you, sir? Bungei says he is all good because he got a lot of crocs to show you and lots of hippos to show you. Well, quite warm here in the Mara, as I said earlier, 27 degrees Celsius and 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Look at that reptilia there. See how big she is. And if you look carefully, see that the teeth are outside the mouth. And this is one of the major differences between crocodiles and alligators. Omega, you're talking about the weights of crocodiles, and this piece could be heavy. Depending on the species, it could be anything from 300 to 500, but of course, age also comes in, but they're very, very heavy reptiles. Omega, I was talking about the teeth. If you look carefully, once the crocs shut their mouth, the teeth remain outside. Not all of them, but most of them. But alligators, once they shut their mouth, you'll notice that you do not see any member or any teeth in their mouth. That's one major difference between these two reptiles. See, the eyes are closed. And at times we call these animals semi-aquatic because sometimes they're in water or outside water. Now, we'll find out if they have any hippos here, and I'll be showing you much later.
Well, we've got something else that's playing in the water that is not a hippopotamus, but is much larger. It is a couple of elephants that have come down to have a drink here on PRIDELANDS. And of course, guess what? We're right outside the eco training camp because this is the place to be. My name is Taylor McCurdy, and on camera with me today is Sebastian. And we're hoping it doesn't rain because the clouds are dropping and there's lots of thunder rumbling in the distance. Or it could be my stomach, I'm not sure. But anyways, elephants don't look hungry today, but they are definitely thirsty. And I think that they would not mind the rain at all. The dams, as you can see, are drying up at an alarming rate and probably need to be topped up fairly soon. I think that elephant was agreeing with me, perhaps you heard it. But just a few of them, not a big breeding herd, so not a family. These are all bulls from different walks of life that have joined up together to come for a drink. And actually, we see a bachelor herd. That's what we call it when all the male animals stick together, a bachelor herd. This lot are quite young, and we've been seeing them together for actually quite a long time now. Now, Linda, this is of course, everything out here, there's no straightforward answer, so it's going to be a long-winded one. I hope you're ready for this. But it depends on the elephant's genetics as to when essentially it gets its tusks. But you can use the rule of thumb at anywhere from about 2 years old. The tusk will start protruding from the folds of skin. But, you know, some elephants just don't have tusks. And if they have that tuskless genetic, then you're going to be waiting for all their life. And their tusks just won't come through. And others might get their tusks a little bit earlier. Hopefully this fella didn't get his too early because he likes to jab his into other elephants' bottoms. Look how bossy he is. He's basically just saying, get out of the way. I think I'm bigger and stronger than you, and I'm going to hog the entire dam for myself. And I'm sure that you've all seen this kind of behavior before where boys just cannot help but wrestle and tussle with one another. But of course, it's very important for an elephant's development. So these are, like I said, relatively young bulls ranging probably between the ages of about 15 and 20 years old, somewhere around there. Some are slightly bigger than others, but there's no big dominant breeding bull here. So they're going to shove one another around, testing each other's strength constantly. But they won't be allowed to mate with the females. The females wouldn't want to mate with them either. And if there is any nonsense of a big elephant bull, a real mature fella, maybe double these elephants' age, comes walking on in, you'll see how the respect will change quite a bit. He might even show some of the youngsters and teach them a lesson if they do get too boisterous around him. And it's important for those big males to really keep the youngsters in line. Frankenstein, now here's an old wives' tale, and it's quite a funny one. Are elephants really afraid of mice? Well, you'll be surprised as to how easily an elephant can get a fright. So I think, can you imagine an elephant standing in a grass and something small come rustling past its feet? It might get a little bit of a fright, but I don't think if you put a mouse and an elephant with one another, that they would be terrified of each other. Maybe the mouse more than anything, but obviously mouse is really not a threat to an elephant. So no, they aren't. But I have seen all sorts of strange things give elephants fright, so it is quite funny. Just like people, different animals have different personalities, and we definitely see it shine through in a very intelligent and social species such as an elephant. And you get some elephants that are just super nervous and they don't know what to do with themselves. And I bet you all know one person that's always, sitting on the edge of their seats. The anxiety is running through their veins and they just don't know what to do. But none of these elephants, as you can see, they're quite relaxed. And I don't think anything would really give them a fright right now. They seem to be quite aware of what's going on and just enjoying a drink, really. Well, this is a peaceful scene. We're not going to go anywhere. We're just going to hang around with these gentle giants. I don't even know what that was supposed to mean, but okay. Hello, internet audience. How's it going? As you know, us fellow South Africans like to say. I've decided that I want to do a show with a proper South African accent. Like, I don't know if I'd be able to hold it for very long, though, but it's always quite funny. Oh, it's so nice to have the Ennies at the dam. They haven't been here at all. Not even one the whole day, which has been quite sad, but it's been very overcast and quite windy throughout the day, so, it's to be expected. Okay, I'm going to keep quiet now. I'll chat to you just now. Welcome back to your live African safari. You have just joined us here at PRIDELANDS, which is part of Baluli Game Reserve and which is also a part of the Greater Kruger, in case that sounds familiar. But we're with a group of elephants that were having a drink and some are now having a bit of a siesta. But I don't know if they're going to do any swimming for us. It's not a particularly nice day today, or at least the wind has stopped. So who knows? Maybe there'll be one brave elephant that decides to take charge and go into the water. That elephant in the middle, I think we saw him yesterday or the day before, but we see him quite regularly. You can see the tip of his trunk is missing. Very sad that it was probably caught by a snare, but he is thriving and doing well, and it doesn't seem to bother him at all.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to NBN PHINDA Private Game Reserve. My name's Matt. Behind the camera, we've got Craig. And this afternoon, we've stumbled upon a small herd of zebra that you were having a look at now, who have just come from a watering hole, like that elephant that you're just watching. And you can see that they're actually being very social. When we found them, they were all, I'm not sure if you all have seen it before, but when they're resting, they sort of face opposite to one another. And the 6 of them were doing it in their pairs, and they were resting their heads on each other's backs. And now they've become a little bit more active. One of the females just urinated, and the male, I think it was the stallion, smelt it. He flew and grimaced. It looked like he was smiling up to the sky. And all sorts of vocalizations coming from these zebra, but they seem to have settled down a bit now, but quite a bit of sort of grooming going on between them. You can see as that one is now with its head on its back. So when we arrived here, they were all facing the two of them facing opposite ends, resting their heads on each other's backs. You can see it's quite windy by the dust that they're kicking up underneath their feet. So all just resting in the heat of the afternoon, but now starting to get a little bit of energy again. Mike's commenting on the stripy afternoon that we're having here. Absolutely, Mike. stripy with a little bit of impala in the mix as well. But yeah, very busy now. Have a look at that one resting its head on the back of the other. Still, yeah, hasn't had its afternoon nap, trying to squeeze in 1 or 2 last minutes of sleep, but not being allowed to. And you see they're carrying on grazing now again. And next to them, not uncommon to find animals together, are quite a nice herd of impala. Also relatively big, but also on high alert in wind like this. Predators, which we're trying to look for this afternoon, like cheetah might be around, especially one with youngsters that you might have seen with Dumi a couple of days ago. Now's the time where they'll look to move and potentially hunt when all the other predators are fast asleep during the heat of the day, trying to stay out of harm's way. But they all look relatively relaxed. And now you can see those 2 zebra in the middle, pictured in the middle, are doing exactly what I spoke of just now, resting their heads on each other's backs. I think the most I've ever seen is 3, where they're all sort of cooperatively together decided that they would do that in their little triangle. But yeah, I've heard a couple of the guys saying that they've seen up to 4 of them doing it at once in a little square, which is, I can imagine, quite neat to see and different. A little bit further right of these is the youngest zebra in this herd. You'll see it's got particularly dark stripes close to it, quite close to its neck and on its face. And I'm hoping that while it's busy feeding there, you can see all of them busy wagging their tails and flicking their ears, that it turns to face us. Those diamond-shaped markings on their face are particularly unique and always quite fascinating to look at. And all of that ear twitching, there are a couple of oxpeckers, I think, who have jumped from Sophie, you're asking how different zebras are to horses. In stature, like you can see, quite similar in build and physique. Not built to sort of race like horses are, or they've never been tamed for that reason, as they are, yeah, like you can see, wild animals, but very similar in mannerisms. I'm not sure if you can hear them making those very horse-sounding noises in the background. It is quite windy, so you might not be able to hear it as they chase one another around. But yeah, I think quite similar in mannerisms. You see the way they're bucking and they're walking around at the moment. But yeah, very amusing to watch. And all of a sudden just got very busy, starting to chase these impala around.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Simbambili Private Game Reserve in the SABI Sands, where we have got the Unkuhuma Pride. They're all lying up, but some of them have got their heads up, looking like they might get a bit active this afternoon. And my name is Steve Falconbridge, joined by Theo Islandstyle on camera. Very excited to have you with us, and I hope you are ready for a wonderful afternoon of action. And Kuhuma Pride are more active at this time of day than we normally see them at this time, but it's because it's overcast, it's a little bit cooler, and we found them this morning, and they'd definitely eaten something. There was blood on the face, blood on the neck. The cubs were looking a little bit shaggy, but their bellies were not full. So everything that moved, everything that twitched, they were up for. And so they've spread out a little bit from this morning, out in the open, which goes to show that the sun and the warmth of the sky is no element at the moment. And so anything could happen this afternoon. A bit of a sad tale, I suppose, on our way through here. We found a little lone one, a little young, everyone say, yay, the Nkuhumas, yes, they are my favourite pride. on Simbimbili. They haven't been around on Djuma for a little bit, so we managed to go into the depths of Simbimbili to pick up on them this morning. But we found a lone little 1-year-old wildebeest that was lurking around, and we could see the herd in the distance, and the wildebeest was sort of in the open, looking around, and, well, it is very possible, without me knowing more, that this pride actually killed the wildebeest sometime in the night or in the early morning, and it could have been mum. And that sounds very sad, everybody. Or what could have happened is the lions were hunting that herd, and the youngster got displaced. But we could see the rest of the herd, but it wasn't going over there to say hello. So, sad moments. Hello, Angie. You want to know about the mange on the cubs? Well, it's looking much, much better. Even before I went away a few weeks ago, the mange looked to have abated. It almost looked like the actual growth of the sarcoptic mange had completely stopped, and the fur was starting to grow back around the edges of where they'd rubbed themselves raw. And even this morning, on the smallest of the cubs, the one that was born in December, we were looking at it quite closely, and it was looking much better, but still very bald patches on the cubs. But that will take time to grow back. That won't immediately happen. It'll take a bit of time. Ooh, there we go. That's Amber Eyes there. And she's just yawned. So to be able to find lions at this time of day, what is it now? It's 3:20, with their heads up, it was a very positive sign. And when we arrived, there was at least 5 of them. One was even moving around. You know you're going to have a very slow afternoon. Oh, there we go. Normally, after the second yawn, you get some movement. So if you normally get to lions and they're very flat, you know it's going to be quite a slow afternoon. And that's often to do with the heat. But when the heat is not there, and these animals are hungry, they will get up a bit earlier, start yawning, start grooming, which is what Amber Eyes is doing right now. And it just takes one of them to get up and start moving, and the rest of the pride will do so as well. So we are very excited to be with the Nkuhumas this afternoon. We hope maybe they're going to get up and do something. There are lots of general game in the area. There was a herd of zebra earlier. There was some wildebeest on the way through, and lots of impala. So we might be able to get them on the move, but we're not going absolutely anywhere. Hello everybody. Such a wonderful afternoon here on Simbimbili. As discussed before, definitely bodes well to be having lions already up and active at this time of day. But what is important is the direction of their movement. If they go west, we're going to have a very hard time following them and keeping them in signal. But if they go east, and maybe even south, we'll be able to follow them for a little bit. But south will take them into Elephant Plains, and that we will not be able to do. The wind, unfortunately, is coming from the southwest. Very gentle. It doesn't bode well for the movement of the pride. But then, you never know. I've been wrong before. Oh. 20 seconds, Theo. to Simbambili, everybody. You haven't missed much. The lions are still a bit spread out and lying down. Only one of them, Amber Eyes, one of the biggest and strongest of the females, is already, as you saw before, getting a little bit active. And what we often find with this pride is that there's a couple of the females that will get up and start moving, and the rest of the pride starts to follow. The cubs will just be lying there. As soon as the feeding machines start moving, they'll get up and follow, and often cause all sorts of drama. Cubs of the age of the Nkuhuma cubs at the moment are more hassle than they are benefit. It's only up until the first year that they sort of spend a bit of time playing and messing around. Hello, Janet. Do you want to know how big the pride is? There are 7 lionesses currently at the moment. One of them is not really being allowed in. Excuse me. And 9 cubs. So a very nice, healthy number. And 2 of the cubs, the 2 boys, were born to Ridge-Nose. They were born in June of last year. So they're just over a year. And then there were 3 and 4 born to Purple Eye and Amber Eyes. They were born in August, September. And then Chella had 4, and we've only got 1 surviving from her, and that was born in December. So it's been a very healthy growth of the pride. Only 1 of the original cubs died, and 3 of Chella's didn't make it. But very, very, very good success story for the Nkuhuma pride.
Well, it's very easy to follow lions and keep track or have some kind of data to know once, the numbers increase or you lose 1 member. But for elephants, it's a different ballgame. Because there's so many herds, they spread out, and it's very difficult to keep track or to know exactly which herd is which. But should you see an elephant like that one there, you can tell it got 1 task. Maybe that way you can always know in this particular herd, there's a particular elephant. You can follow them quietly and maybe keep track and learn something about them. One of the pluses of the MAASAI Mara Game Reserve is the openness. I mean, as much as you can see that elephants there, with the thickets behind them, just look at that scenery and see one big difference between the MAASAI Mara and Juma in terms of vegetation. You can see as far as your eyes can see. And remember, should you have any questions, you're more than welcome to ask us, or should you have any comments, as usual, tweet #WorldEarth or at FC in the comment section of the YouTube chat channels. The youngsters, we also would like to hear from you. Kids questions at worldearth.tv. Now, we got different antelopes here. Mark, you'd like to know how much water can an elephant drink? So many factors would come in play, Mark. Number 1, age, the size, the condition of the elephant, but an average of anything 30, 40, 50 gallons in a day, max. We say 50 gallons because, Mark, I'm sure elephants eat so much, and because they eat so much, they need also to drink equally as much. So anything 30 to 40 to 50 gallons in a day, I would say max 50 gallons is a probable, I would say, capacity for them to drink. Again, if she is pregnant, sometimes you think they tend to drink more. If she is or he is at the prime age, they tend to drink more. If they're unwell or they're young, they'll be drinking less. Now, earlier we were showing you some antelopes, and these antelopes, we call them toppies. I had seen one with a single horn. I don't know where it has gone, but maybe I'm going to see it later. And I would want to compare that antelope or that toppy to the elephant as well. Anyway, instead of the one, take it from me, that's friendly. It was nothing major. See little guys behind them? Those are Thompson gazelles. It's a very good knock from those toppies. These ones, we call them Thompson gazelles, and they're the favorite food for the cheetahs. Elephants having a lot. Lisa, how are you today? And yes, I will agree with you 100%. This landscape is just beyond. Look at that baby elephant there, Lisa, and try to imagine the bushes behind them, Lisa. We call them orange leafed crotons, but as the camera operator will show you, with elephants and the bushes and the openness of the Maasai Mara, what we call the savannah, I agree with you totally. It is just spectacular. When you look and you don't see what, Lisa, I call visual pollution, it's just nature at its best. Look at that elephant there putting her trunk up. Having seen topis, Thompson gazelles, elephants now in their natural home, in their wilderness, it couldn't be, anything to compare to this. In terms of like we people who are here in the bushes every other day, we enjoy this bit. I mean, every minute. So the baby is following the mom and picks small little things, from the ground, and not sure whether she knows what to do with them. But I'm sure he is learning some ropes from the mother. Well, we'll move on. Very excited to see elephants. Any day I see elephants, I call it a good day.
Thanks, Gigi. So wonderful to have you back and hearing you on up in the Mara, back here with us in Simbambili. This time last year, I was actually with Gigi in the Mara. Wonderful, wonderful place to be. And here the grooming has started. The cubs are obviously a little bit eager to get going with the day, so they've decided to start the grooming process. Come on, adults, get up. We want to get some food now, please. We can't catch it ourselves. We don't yet know how. Yep, there we go. You can see it kind of wants to yawn and swallow at the same time. Ooh, a little scratch. Oh yes, that's the typical lion scratch. They get themselves, and they get a very nice look on their face as they scratch that. We spoke about mange a little while ago. Mange is very itchy. It's a Coptic mange. It's a mite that burrows into the skin. And the reason why you see those patches of skin, everybody's having a little chuckle. The reason you see the patches of skin on the lions after mange is because they've actually rubbed the skin raw. They've rubbed all the fur off, and it's because it's so itchy. So itchy. And we got there's the adults doing the same thing. That's exactly the same. Oh, scratching. Now, I thought initially that was Amber Eyes, and looking again now, it seems to be a younger lioness, but I still think it is Amber Eyes. Open your eyes for me. No, I don't think it is. Very itchy, these lions. Lots of scratches and licks required each day. And it's the reason why mange is then transferred between them, because they're very touchy. Okay, Michael Fleetwood has corrected me. Michael, thank you. I initially thought it was Amber Eyes, but then she moved and I then thought it wasn't. So it's Ridge-Nose's daughter, one of the youngsters. You can often tell by the nose. Young lions have got very pink noses, and so they don't have the same sort of... it gets a bit darker as they get older, for the most part. But lions are very tactile, lots of touching, as we saw that cub before licking the adult. So mange is transferred that way, lots of rubbing, lots of touching, and so it's impossible to keep it out of a lion pride once it gets in. But it definitely affects the youngsters more so than it does the adults. That's very much a condition-based thing. But they're all looking good. You can see how fluffy they're looking. They're not looking itchy. They're not looking scruffy anymore. If you look like they've had a few buffalo and giraffe since the onset of mange. And maybe we're going to get a bit of action here as these youngsters are starting to get active. Come on, little one. Pounce on your sibling. Let's get going. Well, maybe they'll get up soon. We'll just have to come back in a moment to see what happens.
It's incredible, like we back at originally where the lions were this morning, around the giraffe carcass, and you can see how this hooded vulture is maneuvering its beak in between the vertebrae in order to try and get to some of the meat, as well as also a bit of the marrow. But very sharp beak, and it's using it very effectively as a tool. Now, just in the back of where these vultures are, you might just notice the lions are still lying down in the grass, right next to that termite mound. And but you can see they're a little bit more relaxed. This morning they were trying to chase all these vultures away. There's a vulture off to the left. Look at how it's trying to pull. It might be, not sure, it could be a tendon or something. But see how it's tearing it with this beak and then grabbing a little bit more and tearing it just to try and break off little bits and pieces. With that giraffe carcass that we had this morning, now there's a few vultures that landed on the ground here. So I can count 1, 2, 3. But notice the colors on this vulture's face. Like if you look at the overall body, it's this brown color, a little bit of white around the head, quite a sharp beak, and then the eye has this bluish tinge on it. So these vultures are known as hooded vultures. And their beak is specifically designed to be able to get a little bits of pieces of meat in between the ribs, in between the vertebrae, and also a bit of the marrow. So it's a very sharp tool. Sometimes vultures like the Cape vulture or the white-back vulture. Now the white-back vulture is this one that we have right over here. So just probably a little bit off from where we're sitting down now. You'll notice this one right here. Look at the difference in beak between the two. So the one closer to us is a bigger vulture and a lot stronger beak in comparison to the one in the back. So this one is the white-back vulture. And it's probably the most common vulture that you find in areas of the low veld. But that vulture's beak is specifically designed to be able to tear big pieces of meat off. Other than the hooded vulture, there's more designed to pick off meat in between these small spaces within the bones. Just watch the way that it's sitting down, and I mean, like if you look at the two, it's quite a big difference, especially in the color as well. Ian, not to my knowledge, no, they don't really have a leader within the group. So often with vultures, as soon as they see either yellow-billed kites or tawny eagles or even batelliers perched up in the tree, they'll start gathering. And it's not like one will initiate it, but normally what happens is as soon as one touches on the ground, the others realize it's safe and they can also go down. Now from here on, I just want to point out all the vultures that are on the trees. You can just see the silhouettes. So look at the trees in the background and look at all the vultures just waiting there for an opportunity to come down and pick off a bit of the scraps. Now because the lions are nearby, the chances are they might just wait for these lions to move before they come down and see if there's anything for them.
Welcome back to and Beyond PHINDA, everybody, where we're playing a bit of a game of hide and seek with not one but two white rhino. You can see there's 3 ears there trying to tune into their surroundings in quite a windy afternoon in those quarries that they're in. A little bit of shuffling going on there. There you can see one a little bit better, and a little bit of a growth of its horn as well. And we've just for now seen these two, and I can imagine they may be satellite calves that have now paired up for company. And they haven't moved much since we've gotten here. It was sort of a little bit of shuffling in and around there. Perhaps they were lying down there earlier on, resting in the heat of the day. But yeah, every so often we lose sight of them completely and then they reappear. Maybe still a little bit too hot for them to carry on grazing through the afternoon. But those ears working overtime, as you can see there, and then the one behind it doing the same thing. I guess that these two are between about 3-4 years old that have now joined up. And a really good area that we're in to find a couple more, and maybe this afternoon when the wind dies down a little bit, they might come out into the open and provide a little bit more of a better view. PG, you're asking how fast a rhino can run. Up to about 40 odd kilometers. I'd be lying if I told you what that was in miles per hour. But for such large animals, 2.5 tons, it's quite a pace that they can run at. And often if moms have really small calves and you surprise them in a vehicle, you'll see they'll curl their tails up and run away. Maybe not quite at that top speed, but it is quite a frightening pace for something that's so large. You can see them walking off to the right-hand side now. We might catch glimpses of them as they disappear in these guarri thickets. There they are out in the open a little bit more. A hitchhiker on the back of the one on the left-hand side, that oxpecker, who, again, like they are flicking ears, will also irritate them. But yeah, we'll leave them in peace and see if we can't find cheetah this afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon. Beautiful zebra on your screen. Good afternoon once more. It's me, Isaac, and on camera it's Big James. It's a lovely afternoon, but a storm is brewing. But before it comes, we are very pleased to show you what is lurking around over here. I have a congregation or a flock of birds. I don't know what they are eating there. These are cattle egrets, and it's a good sign that we have buffalo and other herbivores, because they follow them around, picking on ticks and eating on little insects that the animals disturb. There are so many of them, which is a very nice sight. Previously, they were accompanied by those zebras you see there. They were all very close here, and zebras are part of the migration. I've been finding pockets of them here and there. They, haven't found a very big, herd or a dozen, but I'm still to find one. Remember to talk to me on #WildEarth. Any comments, questions are very welcome as we take you on this live safari. I am in the Masai Mara, and the temperatures are very, very, temperate, very cool. It's around 26 degrees Celsius, which is perfect for here. Yeah, there's more zebra from a distance there. To the left of the screen, you can see there is a big storm. It's already raining somewhere. Yeah, there is, I don't know what they're doing there, but they seems to be talking about something. Well, Isaac, you have to be careful, because yesterday we had a very huge storm that made both of us to stop the show much earlier. I mean, in our vehicles, we carry very expensive equipment and would not want to miss a drive by having them wet. Well, I'm still along the river, and I came to a different party here. And if you look carefully, these are what we call the scavengers of Africa, or the cleaning crew, because what they're doing there, they're definitely trying to sort or get rid of what was left after some either lion kill-out gas, and what not most likely, now can see better, thank you Bungei, this was a wildebeest, or it used to be a wildebeest. I was saying the other day, of all the animals that I value in Africa, or that I respect, top on the list are vultures. You may not believe me, but let me explain to you why I say that. Because you did the math. Imagine the mess that would be, in our conservation areas with all the predators going for prey and stuff. And after they have, done a hunt and left the prey, what's left behind, if it would not have been cleaned, it could be such a mess. For me, for that reason, I respect the vultures very much. Got a few birds there, like the white ones you see on your left there. Those are cattle egrets, got nothing to do with scavenging. They'll jump on small little insect here and there. Sometimes you see them walking with big, large herbivores like elephants or wildebeests. And we're still along the river, and a lot of good things happen along the river. Crocs, as you can see there, different types of birds. There's some Egyptian geese there, and these are called the yellow-billed storks. We got about 5-6 different species of birds here, but it's only the vultures and the marabou stork. You'll see them dealing with what was left there by the lions. That's the marabou stork I'm talking about. Very good. Good camera work there, Bungay. And a friend of mine used to tell me vultures do not have table manners when they are eating. So they intimidate each other depending on how big you are. What are you two doing there? I'm going to remain here and see what happens.
Hello, everybody. Well, I think I preempted the excitement of the lions doing something. There's still grooming happening, though, but, well, that young cub has eventually stopped. It was attached to mum's tummy, suckling for quite some time. Excuse me a moment. Just going to speak on the radio quickly. I'll try to speak on the radio. Stay at one station with NGALA, space for 2, same position as this morning.
Okay, thanks, buddy. Thanks, it will be you then, because Les is going to come into the third vehicle. Copy that, thanks.
I don't think they're hearing me. They're definitely not hearing me. Okay. 20 seconds, Theo. Welcome back, everybody, live to Simbambili Private Game Reserve, where we are still with Unkuhuma Pride, who, if anything, the adults have gone a bit backwards in their behavior. I thought initially they were getting a little bit busy, but it seems as if they have gone and decided that they're just going to mess with me. They might get up shortly, but I was quite excited at how early it seemed like they were being active. But this is pretty standard stuff for lions this time of day. But it is definitely cooled down quite somewhat compared to this morning. But they do also know that they're much more active at night. It's much easier to move around, and the wind isn't really blowing. There's not much of a breeze, so their advantages of moving around and hunting at this time of day are not actually that great. If they had a pressing need to drink, they could probably get up and move to go drink. And they often will go entire days of being inactive without having to hunt, purely because the energy required to get up and actively go and pursue animals is quite high. But our very flat cats, at least one of the cubs is up and grooming.
Now this animal here is also doing some hunting. You know, the lions have done some hunting and are all sleepy, but this grey heron is scoping out for any fish in the dam that it could just dart at and pierce so it can get a nice meal. Hi everyone, my name is Trishal and I've got BK on camera this afternoon. We are up in the northeastern corner at Buffelshoek Dam, which is the biggest dam that we have on our property here on Djuma, and our lovely grey heron has become a resident at this dam, which is really nice to see. Very, very beautiful bird, giving itself a bit of a scratch. Long, elegant neck. And whenever you watch it, it looks very peaceful. Oh, yes. Stretch up that neck for us. They've got these lovely black plumes. You can see it looks like hair falling off their head. Awesome. And it'll walk very slowly and deliberately through the water, not to disturb any prey or potential prey. It's almost about 1 meter tall. Very substantial. Oh! Off it goes. On to the other side. What does the other side have to offer? I love the really long feathers. There's some that's actually on its wings, then the ones on its head, and down by its breastbone as well. You can see these long string-like feathers, which are exactly the same as normal feathers. They all have a central vein. Look at how deliberate that is. Now they're generally active throughout the day, whether it's fully lit or even in the evening. Sometimes even nocturnally. So like I said, it'd be looking for fish mainly, but it also doesn't mind any worms or other little mollusks. Maybe even some insects that it finds along the water. But apart from in the water, it would take small mammals like rodents, as well as small birds, and yes, of course, some terrapins as well. Everyone's telling the terrapins to watch out. Take some fairly small ones to be able to swallow it, because remember, birds don't have teeth. Oh, look at that. The sun is finally peeking through. I feel like I've been waiting the whole day for the sun to peek through. And it finally is shining on this lovely grey heron with a beautiful reflection in the water too. And I'm quite sure there's a blacksmith lapwing, which would not be happy if it could not photobomb our shot. That's on the other side of the dam, just almost at the head of the grey heron. I saw it walking about. They love some attention, or at least in my opinion. Christine, you'd like to know exactly how tall is this guy? It's just under 1 meter. It's about 90 centimeters. Ooh, look at these terrapins. Getting investigated. Yeah, it's about 90 to 95 centimeters tall. So very long, slender, and elegant. Well, those terrapins got a little bit of attention, but as you can see, they're quite massive and would have trouble swallowing the shell for obvious reasons, but wouldn't mind some of the juicy bits. So good for them that they got off scot-free. As the heron starts to move off and the terrapins stay put, I'm going to do the same.
So incredible, isn't it, that you can spend time with birds like that? We often think of lions and leopards as these incredible hunters. You spend time with herons and you actually see what they get up to. Last year in the Mara, I had some wonderful scenes. Oh, that one's tongue is stuck. Had some wonderful scenes last year with the black-headed heron eating enormous rodents that it was finding out in the field, and frogs. They will eat birds. I've never seen one eat a terrapin. I think that would be a tricky meal indeed. Well, it's a bit too big. Have to peck at it a little bit. But since you were last with us, everybody, the sun has now cleared the clouds and it is coming through, giving some wonderful light this afternoon. So a puddle of lions is out in the sunshine. Will it be too much for them? They might move into the shade, but it doesn't really look like it, to be honest. Like they're going to be doing very much anytime soon, although there is movement. There are legs in the air. There are flickerings. Okay, everybody, so it has been a wonderful afternoon with all of you. I hope you've been enjoying yourself with us. We've brought you some lions. They are the Unkuhuma Pride, which I'm sure you've spent some time with before. I know I've certainly showed them to you. It's nice to have them back on the show. The very well-known buffalo hunters, the Unkuhumas. Last time I was here, the 3 young lionesses had killed that buffalo on their own, which is quite an incredible feat, to be honest. Quite special indeed. But from all of us and all of our locations, it's been wonderful having you with us once again. All of you SABC viewers, we do thank you for your questions and comments. As always, we'll be seeing you again tomorrow, same time, same place. Feel free to continue watching the rest of the show after that, and we'll see you tomorrow. Until then, good day and goodbye. Come into us. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to all of you wonderful viewers who are always there and watching. And hello, good afternoon. My name is Steve, joined once again by Theo Island Style on the back. And as always, very excited to have you with us. And if you have not been watching beforehand, we are with the Unkuhuma Pride on Simbumbili Private Game Reserve. And your questions and comments are always appreciated and most welcome. Send them through to #WildEarth. Throw them in the YouTube chat stream or Twitch if it's your preferred option. Love to hear from you. I know Unkuhumas haven't been seen for a little while. I was messaged by a few of you on my first evening back saying, please find us the lions. We haven't seen them. And here they are. Lying around, as they do. And this morning, when we arrived here, those of you long-standing viewers will remember a gentleman by the name of Herbert Khoza. He was here this morning. He was here in the lion sighting, called us in. He's now working, it seems, at Arathusa. So, very exciting to see him. I was pulling into the sighting and he had that typical Herbie smile and wave. It just absolutely warmed my heart.
Welcome back to the Mara, and I have found the migrators. Yeah, this is the main actor this time of the year, the main animal that we look for every time, because they are supposed to be here for 3 months, and if you go without seeing them, it means either the migration has gone or it hasn't arrived. I'm very lucky to catch this, a good line of them. It is a very long line. Believe me, it has been going, I don't know what spooked them there. It's very typical. When one gets spooked, others follow suit because they think there is danger. It is a long line that has been going on before my director came to me, and I've been watching it. I don't know if it stops there. No, it goes on. So it is a long line. These are a few thousands that I have decided that where they were, maybe it is not good and they need to move. Sometimes they are attracted by storms. There was a storm that was brewing and it trained towards the Tanzanian border, and usually with the smell of rain pulls them very quickly towards where there is rain. Remember, this is live coming to you from the beautiful Masai Mara in Kenya. We are bordered by Tanzania, and that's why I keep mentioning Serengeti. It's just the southern part of the Mara. It's only that there is a boundary, and traditionally everybody has to have a name for a place, and so it was called Serengeti, and the top part is called the Mara. Remember, Mara means dotted or spotted. I told you yesterday. Yeah, thank you, Sahara, for your question. You ask, how long is the Mara River? I estimate it to be around 200 kilometers because it comes from the Mau. It goes through the Mara, stretches on the northern side of the Serengeti, and then drains into Lake Victoria. I will be looking at my map here to try and see the scale, to try and give me an idea of how long it is, but I think it is around 200 kilometers. It is around 200 kilometers. It cuts through the Mara and then the northern side of the Serengeti and enters and drains into the famous Lake Victoria. Yeah, our wildebeest are on a mission. Remember, this is the white bearded gnu. Those young ones are only about 6 months. They are making their first journey here to the Mara. You see them. They are accompanied by their mothers. Remember, as I've been saying, this is a time where they get wind, and sometimes they get wind in a very wrong way, where they get lost. They get separated by the river, in the river. So they will get wind sometimes in very difficult ways. Also, their mothers, while they're here, they feed on this grass, which is highly nutritious. It's in the wheat family. It's a red oat grass. And once they eat it, they come into season. So by the time they start going back, they will also be kicked out because the mother is ready to give birth. I'm going to continue on and find something else for you. I'm hoping to show you a cat.
Hopefully you'll be able to find us a cat, either leopard or lion, or maybe even cheetah. Never know with the Masai Mara what you'll be surprised with. But on the other hand, just look at there's quite a bit of action around this carcass. So it looks to me like for the more time we spend here, that there's definitely a hierarchy within these vultures. You'll see some of them, especially those with the brighter pink heads, are the ones that are chasing the younger ones away from the carcass. But just at the back towards the termite mound now, there's actually a young male lion that has gone and lied down. So earlier on it came close to carcass, the vultures flew off, but you can see he's not too fussed with him. His belly is so full, and he's using the opportunity just to lie down a bit. Now the mother that we saw earlier on, or that big lioness, now she's gotten up, and earlier on he was it looked like he was chewing on a bit of skin and maybe a bone in the tall grass at the back. So the female's gone up and she's now chewing on that, and he's decided to see if there's any other scraps. Didn't see anything and gone to lie down next to that termite mound. But have a look at the amount of vultures that are here now. It started off with 1, possibly 2, and now there's already 7 vultures here. Catherine, I can't agree with you more. Like, if it wasn't for these vultures and hyenas, imagine like the amount of carcasses and that would have been like scattered around here. And it's so interesting. I mean, in this area there was a whole giraffe, and if you think about a giraffe, like a big female can weigh close to like maybe 1.1 tons. So let's say around a ton, and there's barely anything left. One of the other vultures just gave all of them a spook. And you see they just lifted up and landed again. And then head back towards the carcass.
Welcome back, everybody, where we, for those of you who are avid twitchers or birders, have found a secretary bird. It was sort of skulking about in this long grass looking for a meal, but it's now perched up on that thorn tree that you see pictured there. You can see that long sort of crane of it behind its head as well. Got quite the view over the reserve from that perch. It was, like I said, just moving about looking for things like snakes. I'm equally as excited as everyone commenting about the secretary bird. We saw it and then it disappeared, and we drove around and then eventually, I know it's quite a harsh sort of lighting scene for it, but yeah, where it was standing up initially and then sat down, and I can't seem to see anything below it, but not uncommon for them to have nests where they are. But such pretty birds, those red and yellow faces of theirs, that tricky to see as they are there, but could very well set up a spot like that to roost for the evening. But they prey on things like snakes, locusts, and other insects, anything that they can sort of flush out of the grass as they move about. Mrs. Lapping, you're asking if they're tree or ground nesters. They are tree nesters. They will roost in a position like they are currently, and not very safe, especially for such large birds on the ground, for other predators that might see an opportunity in them. But super special to see out here. I might just keep an eye on it and see if it does sort of come down from its perch to carry on skulking about in the long grass. Heidi commenting and saying that they are gorgeous. They really are gorgeous, and it's definitely worth having a look in the book. I won't whip that out now just because we've got it right here in front of us, but those colours on its face, you can see just behind its head there, those little feathers or its crest there flapping in the wind. Those very bright red and yellow face I mentioned earlier as well. They really are pretty birds. And the way they catch things or sort of try to claw at them, they're much like a vigorous typewriter is the only thing I can think of to describe it, when they sort of lash out with their talons if they are lucky enough to see something maybe like a snake. Things like scrub hares might in the next sort of while start to look to get active in the evenings. That this too, the secretary bird could potentially prey on. Doing a little bit of grooming there as we watch it as well. in this light, but what a special bird to add to the list. Those of you who have got lists at home. Talking about predators, quite an unusual one to come across in the afternoon sun. See that very sharp curved bill of it that will pluck at bits and pieces of meat if it is lucky enough to catch something. But yeah, such a striking bird. Beautiful, beautiful bird. Really glad we got to see that this afternoon. Joy in Hong Kong is asking what colour their eggs are. I personally have never seen them, but Joy, they are a white colour. They are, yeah, like a whitey, it's like a pale colour. I'm surprised it's just the one that we see. Sometimes you see them in pairs moving about, feeding and catching lizards or whatever they can get their claws on. And yeah, to see them hunting like we did was super special, and to see it perched as is, sitting still for us this afternoon, is a treat.
It is a treat, but you know it's also a treat? Seeing a levitating squirrel. To me, the squirrel looks like, you know, you'd get out on the streets, like people who would kind of sit on a bar and would look like they're levitating. This is what the squirrel looks like. Street performer in New York City. Very zen as well. But as you can see, it is gripping onto a very small branch. Looks petrified. Almost looks like it's on a broomstick. Are you levitating or are you on a broomstick? No, I think levitating is better. The breeze is catching the little hairs on the tail, which is very cute. But that is about all it's doing, showing us its magic powers. It looked very strange when I drove past, and I was like, what is that? Let's see. It is a magic squirrel. Very cute, yes. Lots of oohs and ahs for the squirrel. They are delightful. I was reading today about squirrels in the northern hemisphere that hibernate, unlike the squirrels that we get here. And the ground squirrels up there, when they hibernate, they go through cycles, obviously, where their body temperature drops substantially, sometimes below zero. And during this time, parts of their brain actually die, or rather the dendrites, the little connections they make between neurons, die off and regrow each cycle. Which is quite amazing that an animal can have that ability. But our squirrels here, they don't hibernate, nor do they estivate. They're around most of the time, all of the time, especially around camp. And as you can see, some of them even have magic levitating powers.
There's quite a few other vultures that have just joined up. So early on there was 7, and now there's 10 vultures all together on the ground here. And the one lion there, so the one young male moved off and went and lied down with the rest of them. And you can actually see in the back, there's a little patch of white, which we'll probably get to soon. But just wanted to focus on these vultures for now, just around this carcass, or the little bit that's left. And you'll see there's quite a bit of a tassel. As soon as there's too many that move close, the one will chase them off. Have a look at the lines in the back. You might just notice the white as they are lying down on their backs. Eva, so normally with these vultures, they do form pair bonds. So often if you drive down rivers where there's massive trees, you'll find two of them together. However, whenever there's a carcass, you'll find a lot of them. So occasionally they'll group up together like this, especially around the carcass, but they won't stick together as a flock. As a group together whenever they do move. So I would say some of them, maybe the next time there's a carcass, there could be a few of them that could be there, but most likely it won't be all of them again. That other one was pretty close to the lions, now heading back towards the carcass. Rosalind, it all depends on the vultures that we're looking at. I mean, to give you an idea, if you look at these ones here, if they had to stretch their wings out, so if you had to measure from the one tip to the other tip, it will probably be close to like a meter. Now, I'd like to just quickly take my book and have a look at some of them. I mean, while we are having a look at these vultures, just to see what the wingspan would possibly be. It would really be hard to see, because I mean, even with some of the bird books, they won't necessarily specify how broad or what the length would be of the wingspan. But I mean, it depends on the vultures. Something like, for example, the whiteback vulture, or possibly even the Cape vulture, could have a wingspan of over 2 meters, like 2.5 meters, where something as small as this, I mean, if we had to judge that, so let's say if the one had to open up its wings, probably going to be a meter and 30 centimeters roughly that you're going to be looking out for. And also, I mean, with the vultures, even though that's the wingspan, it also depends on, of course, the overall size. Sometimes if a vulture has quite a big body as well, it helps to add onto that wingspan. So, just having a look here in the book as well, with especially the hooded vulture. So, if you had to look from the head all the way down to the tail, it's 70 centimeters, not even a meter. And if you had to compare that against something, for example, like let's look at something like a lappet-faced vulture, you'll be looking at a vulture that weighs nearly 7 kilograms, and from head to tail, over a meter. It's incredible how that one has just maneuvered himself on top of that ribs in order to get to that little bit of meat at the top there.
You would imagine the size of a vulture compared to this bird we have here. Well, the first thing I want to ask all of you, please tell me, which bird do you think this is? Which bird do you think this is? Hashtag, I'm sure you know how to ask the question, hashtag at Wild Earth. You can tweet me the answer. Which bird do you think this one is? Hashtag Wild Earth. It's always found near water, as you can see there. It's a bird I've seen a couple of days ago, and why I stopped it when I saw it today is because she got some chicks with her, and she got some 2 chickies under her wings. We started with very good temperatures earlier, about 27 of the high 20s and about 80 degrees Fahrenheit. But definitely now the temperatures have gone down. It's becoming a bit windy. You can see how her feathers are being blown, and that tells you she needs to protect the chicks and keep them warm. So I would like to know anybody who have an idea which this bird is before I give you. Precious, it's a lapwing. Very well done. Yes, it is a lapwing. Now, the next question will be, which lapwing is this? But I would say blacksmith lapwing, not really. It's not blackwing's lapwing, but good trial. Keep trying, but a lapwing, 100%. Joy in Hong Kong, a very good afternoon. I'm not sure what time it is, Joy, there, but Joy, very well done, and congratulations, Joy. I can see you're a very good badder. I can tell you, Joy, and of course all the other nice viewers, badding is always a big challenge, even to us guides who are always in the bush, because lapwings will remain lapwings. But to know which particular lapwing it is was excellent, and that one is the spar-winged lapwing. Now, I was saying earlier that this particular lapwing got 2 chicks, and what I found out, because I've seen her in this particular area about 5 times, I've always known the spar-winged lapwings are territorial, but now I'm convinced beyond any doubt that they're very territorial, because she has always been here throughout. Every time I come, I've seen her here, and that tells me this is her territory. What she may do, she may tolerate or welcome similar species, other, spar-winged lapwings to be with her, but any other species, even if it's a big bird. The other day, I saw her fighting a hammerkop. Look at the size of a hammerkop, and look at how big and long beaks they got. But I saw her fighting a hammerkop simply because the hammerkops are a different species. I would say this is a very good mother. I would give her 10 out of 10 for her motherhood. Who knew that there are 2 chicks there? Yeah, because in the final control would want those chicks to come out, and if you look carefully underneath, you can see the extra feet, and you can tell, or legs rather, that there's something under there. So she needs just to let one come out, and of the 2 chicks, one of them is always rather active than the other. You'll always notice one stays with the mother, and the other one is always a little bit ambitious and very investigative. She will always leave and go and play, looking around, and then very quickly come back. And of course, I would say this is also another way of her trying to camouflage her chicks. Because if you'd get the big raptors, big birds like eagles and some other bigger birds, one of the chicks is out. That's very cute, isn't it? And she runs very quickly right in the water, either to go and feed, that's my guess. Look at how small she is. She reminds me of the Kittlitz plover. The Kittlitz plover are certain birds. We also used to call them lapwings long time ago. I mean, they have kept their name because the spar-winged lapwing, the name just changed sometimes back to lapwings, but the Kittlitz plovers have kept their name. So this particular size is a little smaller than the Kittlitz plover, but all the plovers I know of, it could be more or less this size. So she would catch anything in the water there and very quickly grab stuff. And this is the more... Oh, the other one has come out. Both of them are here, and I will reach them, whatever they are feeding on. Bon appetit, as I watch them a few more minutes before I move on.
Back to everybody, where we were lucky enough to reposition to point again. I was talking about early colors of its face and that super sharp bill or beak, and then this crest head. It's like a, but I've just been sitting watching it through the binocular, searching, scouring around since we've been here. Every so often it tilts its head up to the skies and has a glance at what's above.
Okay, welcome back, guys. I have beautiful cuties, beautiful little fluffy young lions, but they have gotten out of the frame. This is, I think, the win of Pride. I haven't seen them really well, and as you can see, they've made a very big kill there. They've eaten the inner side of the back legs, but they haven't eaten much. They are spread out all over here. I don't know if they're gonna come out, but I think I'm gonna change positions and share them with you. They're scattered all over here. There's one kill back there, and then there's this one here. It's actually confusing because yesterday when I saw them, they didn't have the really young cubs. Now they are cubs that are around 4 or 5 months old. So it's time to investigate more. So allow me to reposition and, share, this great sighting with you. Yeah, I'll have to reposition. It's going to take just a little bit of time. And then, yeah, we're going to share them right now. Looks like, they've been doing well, very, very well. In the last month, we haven't seen we haven't seen them for quite a while. Like myself, I only saw them in February, but I didn't see these little ones. They are very new, very cute. Look at that. That is, amazing. I'm so excited to see that, they have new ones. This is what they do when they are at this age. This is part of learning skills, to stalk, to trip, you can see that is typical behavior that they will portray in the later years. Very playful. That's also strengthening their muscles. Yeah, that one looks definitely like a male, the one to the left. And the one to the left, right, looks like a female. Is that gizmo, you say, a lifespan of a lion? In the wild, I would give it a good 15 years. Sorry, I didn't get that name. In the wild is a good 15. Maybe in captivity it might do 18 to 20. But here in the wild is around 15 years. Things are very tough in the wild. Yeah, that is the lifespan of a lion. And remember, I was telling you about how they end up dying very miserable, horrible life towards the end, and especially, the males, because competition become very stiff towards their last years, and so they get kicked out. They actually sometimes get killed by hyenas, surprisingly. Ah, look at that. So cute. Do you hear the sounds? Yeah, it's very sweet. Yeah, it's nice to see the interaction between mom and cub, because mostly the only time they interact is when they're suckling. Mostly. Yeah, what's she gonna do? Is she gonna scratch the tree? She looked at the tree. Sometimes they claw the tree to remove excess growth on their claws, make sure they are clean and sharp. Yeah, there is one that's feeding. It's slightly older, about 7 months old. I think there are 2 of them. And then the young ones are 2. And then the females, I don't know how many there are. I will be telling you. They're scattered all over here. I don't know if there's any males. Yeah, and this is getting rather interesting for me because I saw them yesterday. There were 2 males and about 3 females and slightly older cubs, like the one eating. So it might be that there was a female that wasn't there with the 2 cubs, and she has appeared today. So it looks like if We give them enough time. Like I always told you, nature is amazing, and sometimes when you give it more of your time, over a little bit of your time, it will show you magic. It will show you something that will be very memorable. So you never know. We might see them come out and spread out, around here. There's 3 more females. You see that? They're scattered there. They look very, very full, very healthy. That's a fully grown female, looking very, very healthy. There's another one that is flat out. Too much eating, too much meat. Actually looks like a young male. You can see it's got that fluffy mane, typical, and also typical of young males around 2.5, 3 years. Yeah, so they're scattered all over here. Let's watch these little guys, because you rarely get to see this, and it's everybody's dream who comes to the bush to see them eating, to see them playing. Yeah, see that little guy? He's not playing with food. He's making sure that he gets his fair share before everybody decides to go back. Remember, chances of them surviving, especially at that age, they have to eat as much as possible. It doesn't guarantee them that, because they're 1 year old or 8 months, that they'll reach maturity. Sorry, I did not hear that question. If you could frame it again, please. This is the Owino's Pride. It is the Owino's Pride. The females are all that were there, the young males that I shared with you earlier. But I'm thinking there is a female that we missed out yesterday that wasn't there with the little guys. And so today they have been introduced to the rest of the Pride. Yeah, let's stick around and see what's going to happen. Yeah, it is very fortunate to see cubs at this age. Not everybody gets to see them. And thank you for staying there. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you're having a good time. Yeah, very inquisitive. Maybe he's watching his first Land Cruiser ever, or maybe the first few, and wondering what animal is this. Yeah, at this age, they're still eating. The little guy over there, he's about 4 months, I would give him. Yeah, he's about 4 months, so they're still suckling. They do suckle up to the age of 6 months, and the more they eat, the less they suckle. And these guys look, really well. You can tell that there's no worry in the world. There's no care in the world. All they want to do now is play. That is a male, 100%. The other one, I think it's a female. Yeah, please enjoy this, and I'll be here to give you more details, so don't you go anywhere.
Well, interesting to see lions, but you'll be surprised if I tell you that black-headed heron just swallowed a whole mouse. How it has done that, I have no idea. Will you believe it? It did not chew it, it did not break it, it did not try to crush it, but it just took it whole. It was still alive when we got here and was trying just to suffocate to kill it using its beak. And then I thought it was just tossing it a little bit. The next thing I saw 1, 2, 3, and the whole of it with the fur, the whole tail, the whole body has gone in the tummy of this black-headed heron. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that was really something. I mean, the herons, the way they feed, they're always very patient when they feed. You see how they walk? Very patiently, slowly, but very quick. quickly because they're so soft on the ground. They do not, I would say, do not startle their prey, and they very easily get their prey off guard, and very quickly they shoot their beaks like a spear, and the first thing they will do is either to hit the head of the prey, and that of course the trauma of being hit by like, who was that, bring us down, and then they can either use their feet to subdue it, and then of course again the beak, hit it a 2 or 3 times, and once it's dead they'll just wait to make sure it's completely dead, and then they pick it up with your beak, walk around with it for a few seconds just to make sure it's completely dead, and then swallow it whole. I mean, that I thought that's something very special. That's what the herons do for you. As you can tell, like that one there to the right is also feeling the cold, like the lapwing saw earlier. You see, she got her neck tucked in. Martin, I agree with you. That heron must have been very hungry. You'd have seen the size of that mouse. I mean, it was big, and definitely she must have been very hungry. How she has done it? I think she's still recovering from swallowing it. And what I'm thinking is, the neck, look at the neck. It looks very small. I'm sure you all know how mouse or rats look like. I mean, the mice are equally big. And I would say the neck has like, what I'm looking for, muscles that can extend very easily, and I think the reflex, the moment it picks to the beak and starts going down. I'm sure you have seen how, other reptiles like snakes, for example, the python, how they swallow their prey. So I saw this heron and I was like, 1 minute, I don't think you're going to swallow that mouse. But I saw the neck go wide at the very base of the head and all the way down. It took less than 3 seconds, to get to the belly. Well done, heron. And hopefully you might get some other food later. But that was pretty big. For me, I think that should be enough for dinner. If you're going to hunt something else, I'll be surprised. Well done one more time, heron. And I leave you. I move on.
Well done indeed. That's an awesome sighting. A heron would love one of these little guys when they are little. At the moment, they're not very little at all. It is a water monitor. They can get quite long, about 2 meters or so. This one's a very averagely sized one. I'd say it's about 1.2 meters. It's a separate one from the 2 that we had at Twin Dams recently. This is the one by Vuyatela Dam. Got a bit of a fright from the hippo that was playing and splashing about, and it quickly swam towards this log and decided to have a rest because it definitely can't bask in this weather. Magic Dragon Wizard, you say, yay, dragon. Looks like the hippo's also saying, yay, dragon. Wow, that fitted very well. This is the most playful hippo I've ever seen, the one at Vuyatela Dam. But back to our dragon. Sorry, Mr. Hippo. Our little dragon here. I must tell you that the 2 that we had at Twin Dams that went into the hole together, I'm not sure if you were with me when they both went into the hole, but they both ended up in that hollow in the tree. And I suspect that they actually may be mating because they are solitary, like I said. They're aggressive, very, very ferocious, especially if they're backed into a corner or they have to share their resources. So there's no other reason those 2 would canoodle in a hollow in a tree except to mate. And that also explains the slight fighting foreplay that happened before they ended up in that tree hollow. So do you have a mate? Or a Nile monitor here? Or perhaps you'll take a walk to Twin Dams. They are known to walk. They can walk for quite a distance between dams, and they will look for permanent water sources. And if that means that they've got to walk a fair distance, then they certainly will. Not tens of kilometers in a day, but if they have to walk tens of kilometers, they will do it. Just in little bouts. You're all looking at the wonderful markings. Markings are especially beautiful on the Nile monitor. Although I must say, if I go by monitors and the ones I've seen, the most beautiful markings have to be, for me, on a bushveld monitor or a rock monitor. A baby, they're just stunning, stunning. The head is grey with orange bits. Very, very vivid, very cute. So I'd give my first prize to a baby bushveld monitor, and I'd give my second prize to a baby Nile monitor. You'll find that with lots of animals, actually, coloring can be or is a lot more vivid when they're younger. Especially goes for reptiles and aquatic animals. And that acts to protect them. As a warning to any predators that come along. But you can see as they grow, especially with the Nile monitor as well, they keep that lovely, lovely patterned coat. Or rather, skin. Look at that, posing for us. Just beautiful.
So we just try to reposition a bit to have a look at the rest of or where the Pride was lying down behind the termite mound. And you can see all of them are pretty flat, except the one right in the middle that's trying to get the last little bit out of that skin. Now just have a look at how thick that giraffe skin is. So I'm just having a look. You'll notice it looks like it's close to at least 1.5 centimeters. She's not too happy with the vultures getting a little bit closer. But I'm hoping that she'll pull it up again. You could see it every time she picked it up. You could see a little bit of it, but Craig, with the lions that I've seen over the last little while, or let's say during all my guiding career, I've noticed especially when especially young females, if they are pushed out of a pride, or not pushed out of pride, when they eventually leave the pride because the competition gets more or gets harder and harder, eventually those younger lions will, once they get to another pride, they'll show that they are submissive. And then it's a slow process, but eventually that pride will accept them in. Often with males, if they move into a pride, they will kill or fight off any dominant male and chase them out, or if they don't chase them out, they'll kill them. And then eventually from there on, they'll become the dominant males. And so all the females will be submissive towards that particular man. Also the younger males would be whenever they take over a pride. But often it's the females whenever they move away and join up with possibly other females, or more likely is they'll then form their own area or move towards their own area. And often the males then will join up with them. But if they do meet up with another pride, the females tend to show that they are quite submissive, and for all and normally it's younger females that do that, and then the pride will accept them within. But it all depends on the area, depends on how big that pride might be, depends also of quite a few factors, either if they're going to accept her or possibly even see her as possible competition. Just listen to some of the background noises. There's barely any noise. Now and again you'll hear a vulture up in the tree. You might just hear as one takes off and lands If there's a lot of dead branches, you might just hear them falling through the ground. And of course, you can hear this lion chewing away. But look at the thickness of that skin. And you see this female, even though the other one was just turning around, there's no table manners when it comes to food. And I mean, the other one was just basically lying around and turning onto its back. And because of that, got a bit of a pinch on that leg. So this young male here at the back is basically getting whipped in the face because of that tail of that female. Every time she swats a fly and drops it again, she drops it on his head.
Welcome back, guys. I think it's a lion evening. Lion eating giraffe, lion eating wildebeest, lion playing, which is marvelous. You cannot ask for anything more. Yeah. See, flat out, one of the females. Maybe she made the kill, and so she's eaten enough. Yeah, at the moment, it is like Christmas for most lions. That's why they are making multiple kills every now and then. It is rare to see this in normal times unless there's really a chance. Yeah, that guy knows that times will come when availability of meat will be scarce, competition will be stiff, and so he's making use of that carcass while everybody is asleep. I would do the same if I knew tomorrow is unseen, it's an unknown, especially if you're a male lion. Yeah, those little guys, they have no care in the world. They don't know, how tough the future of a lion is. Yeah, from a very young age, these guys are very spotty, and sometimes the spots disappear completely, and sometimes they don't completely. Where I am, this is Owino's territory, although things have been very different. Who is that? It looks like a hooded vulture on a gardenia tree. Gardenia tree, they look very scruffy but very tough, loved by lots of animals. All the animals that browse love them. The hooded vulture is one of our small vultures. Always a guarantee, if you see it, there will be a kill somewhere, and it's always waiting for scraps. So it's a giveaway when you see it. When you come to Africa, ask somebody, why is that bird there? Lulu, thank you for your beautiful question. You ask if the lions follow, the wildebeest across the river. It is no. They are territorial. They will stick to their territories. The only time I have seen lion cross, the river, it's only to pursue a new territory. If they think that across the river there is potential to take over a new, territory, they will cross. But I've never seen them cross to pursue wildebeest. Maybe some of my colleagues might have a different answer, but for me, I've never seen them cross. This is a young male. It is evident. I don't have to really explain. And he's looking really well. He's full. You can tell by his panting. He's been eating well. Yeah, and that could be a sister, because they look the same age. Yeah, it will be soon when he's gonna be chased out, the young male we just shared with you, because as I said this morning,
they become quite big. They are eating as much as the adult males and females. They become a threat to the prevailing male, and so usually the females gang up, and sometimes the male, and chase him away. They usually have a very fast, difficult time because they have to fend for themselves. Yes, I'm talking about you. For about 2.5, 3 years, they will have to eat, accumulate lots of fat, become big, so that they can intimidate, the new males of new territories where they think they're going to go and take over. Remember, this is coming live from the Masai Mara. If you want to talk to us, #WildEarth is the handle. Questions, suggestions, comments are very welcome. Yeah, it's nice sharing with you this. Okay, that guy is still, I think, gorging on the meat. Yeah, he's not stopping. Look at that. Yeah. He knows tomorrow might be a different story. And sooner or later, they gotta wake up to start eating. Yeah, did you say they will be sad? Definitely, but it's nice that it cannot show us feelings or tell anything. Yeah, it's a toy now, even for the little guys. This is where they learn to bite the skin. Yeah, is he gonna come this way? Yes, look at that. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, that's definitely around 5 months I would give him. Yeah, cute. Why is he going very fast? I don't know. He's on a mission. They are very playful, young lions and lionesses from the age of about 2 weeks onwards. They're very playful with each other up to the age of around 2. Then they start concentrating on life, where they start learning and sharpening their last skills before they become independent, to kill, to stalk, and also to stay safe, not to wander into other lions' territories. Here in the Mara, I would say the territories have become smaller slightly, I would say, because by amount of lion I have been seeing. If I may reframe that question, did you ask what are the iconic species in the Mara are? That is James. I would say the big five have Jamie, did you ask about iconic trees? Did I hear that right? Sorry, before I answer, iconic trees. Yes, I would say the common ones here, the ones that stand out really are balanites, and which are also called desert dates, and bosquias are the common ones. Diospyros abyssinica, which is also called giant forest mahogany. We have Croton dachogamus. So we have a few that are iconic and native to the Mara, and they stand out. Those are just but a few. Yeah, but they are very, very many. Still trying to eat as much as possible. Okay, the younger guy has joined in, and usually when it starts, it will go for a good maybe 20 minutes. And it looks like right now everybody's gonna go to it. So stick around, don't go anywhere. Let's see if the male is somewhere. It's gonna come out, maybe the females, because this is going to be, wonderful towards the end when they all come. I hope they can pull that kill to, from there or out to outside where you can see it more. But even from there, it will still be wonderful to see them eat. Yeah, let me enjoy, seeing them eating. And I'll be for sure here when you come back to update you on what's happening.
There's so many of our scavengers that have joined up with the sighting. So we have the white-backed vultures that are currently on the carcass, and just slightly off to the back on the right, there's a black-backed jackal making its way closer. Now, a little bit right from here, and slightly up, look at this vulture running in back towards that carcass. Just trying to see if I can still see this black-backed jackal. If we give it some time, we might even find this jackal coming in between where those vultures are to come and have a feast. But you can see that when initially it was these hooded vultures, the ones with the sharp beak, but then of course the white-backed vultures are slightly bigger, so they came in, and because of that they've pushed the other ones away. See, all of them just got a fright. Now have a look, even though they got a fright because one came in, look at how they will now start running back to the carcass. Now I just wanted to point out, so if we move the camera a little bit back, you'll notice the lions, these vultures, and then what I want to do is, so Gert, you see this lion right in front of us, the one on the right, the young male. If you look, take the camera from between his ears and you move it just above the green bush, you might just see that black-backed jackal in the background. There he's moving. There we go. I tend to agree with everyone. It's just amazing to be able to see these vultures, and especially when they hop all the way down towards the carcass. And you'll see they'll try and make themselves look big, especially the whitebacks, in order to try and intimidate the other ones. Have a look now as they come back in. And as soon as the one just gets to the carcass, then the others are going to get confidence and they'll slowly start making their way. Or quite quickly. See, the one started and now the others are coming. And on top of all of this, there was even a hyena moving in the back. Now, I can't see the hyena at all, but there's a good chance that they might just be waiting for these lions to move off before they move closer. Especially that jackal, he's also quite wary of what's going on around him. There's the hyena. So where the jackal was earlier, there's a hyena now coming in. Now it'll be interesting to see how the lions are going to behave when they see this hyena coming closer. We might be looking at two different hyenas. And on top of it, look, there's a white-headed vulture that just came down. hyena slowly creeping closer. I don't know if this hyena knows the lions are lying down right here. You can see he's lifting up his head constantly, trying to smell. See, the hyena just picked up a bone, it's now moving off with it. Vince Magic, with vultures, they don't have web feet. They actually, it almost looks like it because of the size and how rounded they are, but they, I just want to try and see if there's one where we can actually see the talons of a vulture. They're just quite broad and long, but they don't have, it looks like it though, especially because of it looks like there's a lot of calluses underneath. This one here is actually a nice one to use, so if we use these two sitting on the branch here on the left, we'll be able to zoom in, especially focus on their legs. So have a look at that. It looks like it's webbed, but it's just long, and especially there where it joins up. Now, in order to have those long toes, there has to be that skin in between that almost looks like a web in order to join it together so that at least they can use it in order to grip whatever they, whenever they feed, they can grip it with their talons and then pull it with their necks.
Yeah. Okay. Look how awesome this is. Now, it's not going to be the greatest view for just a few minutes because we need to reposition, but look at this. There's a leopard walking on the rocks and an elephant right there. There's two elephants, basically. One that you can see on the right and the other one you can't see, but he's on top of the rocky outcrop. I don't know if you saw the elephant or the leopard, or if you maybe heard him, but it is the Shimungwe male leopard, who is one of the resident males around here. I'm going to go a little bit further forward. Seb, I'm just going to go forward so we can get the leopard. He's obviously just snuck through very, very quickly. But how cool is this? I've been wanting to see something up on this koppie since I arrived at PRIDELANDS, so it's really, really nice. We did have him beautifully on a termite mound, just sitting, and then by the time we got there, he sat, the signal wasn't great, he yawned a few times, and he got up and moved, and then he gave us the slip. And we've just been sitting quietly hoping that he will show himself. I think he's on a bit of a territorial patrol now. He's been sawing as well. Oops, I probably shouldn't drive into any trees. Let's just see. He's moving so quickly, and his coat is beautiful. It's camouflage. Oh, there he is. Okay, I'm just going to keep going, Seb, just to get him when he comes through this gap. There we go. It's okay, boy. Isn't he beautiful? Sorry about that. I think we are going to go through some dodgy signal areas. There's just another vehicle. So you can see the really cool thing about seeing leopards at PRIDELANDS is that you get an understanding of how he's going to pop out now, how elusive these animals are, and how nervous they can be. Obviously, the SABI sand leopards are an unbelievable exception, and there's been lots and lots of work done on them. But this would be a normal habituated leopard, you know, that's still maybe a little bit nervous when vehicles sort of move around. But we're going to see if we can't get around and get another view.
Thanks, Taylor. How awesome. You got yourself a leopard and a elephant there, yes. Well, there's nowhere in the world really like the SABI sands when it comes to leopards. Our leopards are so cool here. Even the kudu climb up on termite mounds, like this one. How cool is that? And she's been standing like that for, well, since we got her. Been more than 5 minutes. She's busy chewing the cud. Obviously enjoying a little bit of a bird's eye view. Busy ruminating up there and making sure nothing's trying to sneak up on her. So we left the lions, everybody. It was quite obvious, and thankfully so, that tourism, definitely local tourism, is back up and operational in South Africa as of today. The lodges have people, and so the pressure was a little bit higher. So we moved out of the lion sighting. We weren't able to stay there. And we've come back over to Djuma. We're going to see if I can give Trishala a hand with some tracks of Thandi that we couldn't move past this wonderful scene. Quite splendid, isn't it? It's beautiful, isn't it? Theo has just made one comment. Just imagine the setting sun behind her. How wonderful would that be? Can't you be on the other side behind us where the sun's going to set? It's actually a bit cloudy. Going to be an interesting sunset this afternoon. I don't know if it's going to be that spectacular, but it might surprise us. Craig, well, it actually is a kangaroo, Craig. I'm joking, Craig. We don't get kangaroos here, but I suppose if... There we go. Now it looks like a kudu. But definitely there's moments when it's got the kangaroo-like feel. The red-crested korhans, everybody, are doing their thing. I had one ballooning into the air a little while ago. Try and get that on camera. It's very tricky. You might have heard that. The males will make those noises to attract the females, and then they'll do this skyrocketing fly all the way up into the air and then fall backwards, almost like a kamikaze in a way, and then just before hitting the floor, turn the wings and turn the body and then land. And apparently the guy with the most kamikaze fall is the most attractive to the female korhans.
Welcome back, everybody, to And Beyond PHINDA, where we have found one of the most adorable little baby rhinos. It's currently just behind Mom, who you can see has a bit of a weathered left ear, but there are 5 white rhino here that we are sitting with that have come out, like we said earlier, out into the open to graze this afternoon. And this little one, they're also on high alert because of this wind, which I can imagine can be quite sort of irritating to them. Such sensitive ears, that sort of constantly gusting sound in their ears. But you can see how they're all sort of huddled in a circle, and they keep backing up into one another, and when they do that, they give each other a fright, and then the little one goes storming out either side. So I'm hoping that if we sit patiently and wait, it either every so often pops its head out behind the back of Mum, or just in front. And that, what you're looking at between the 2 larger rhinos is not her calf. It's maybe about half that size. And here it comes into picture, there it is. Like Curious George. The most beautiful light this afternoon, we actually don't have much left of it. This little golden hour that's crept through into the open plains here before it disappears to the west. But there now you can see that little youngster trotting around. Ian is asking if rhino have matriarchs like elephants. They don't. Ian have matriarchs. They are in this little group that we're watching here, or crash as they call white rhino, are a couple of moms. You can see the 2 bigger of the 2 are moms, white rhino moms, with their calves, the one considerably younger than the other in the middle, and then there's one on the left who is probably a satellite calf, about 2.5, 3, maybe 4 years old, who's joined up with them for company. But now you can see that little one in the light, and it's only just started to develop that little bump of a horn. So I'd guess it at around 8 months old. But yeah, 6 to 8 months you'll see that bump of that horn starting to develop. So it's minute, and you can see while everyone's got their priorities with grazing, it sort of just trundles around, and it's actually quite amusing to watch. But just lifting their heads up briefly before they carry on. Make sure the coast is clear, especially with such a young rhino. They can be quite vulnerable, but there are quite a few of them together. But how cute is that little head just next to Mom's now on the right-hand side there. It's just pacing up and down, keeps going behind Mom. A little bit more comforting to be, tucked away in the confines of Mom. Now it pops itself out the back. But again, also at such a young age, those ears just sort of honing in on everything. All the little sights, this wind that might sort of be disturbed, a lot of birds that are following them around, trying to pick off any insects that might be flushed out of the grass as they move along. But have a look at the other white rhino mom coming to have investigate this little one. But he's so curious, or say he, I'm not sure if it's a little young male or female, but if you start the engine or if you move around and make a noise, it would hone those ears in on you and take a couple of paces forward and then trot straight back to Mom. But quite nice to see these three calves here. So we spoke about the two older ones and the three youngsters of all sort of significantly different ages together.
Very nice to see rhinos, and especially so the babies. Earlier I had baby giraffes here, but I was left with these two giraffes here. Now, I do not know from where you are able to tell me whether these two giraffes are males or females. I'm not sure whether my question is making sense, but Bunge will try to pan and make a close-up. And I would want all of you to either guess or look. Of course, we got the obvious places or ways you can tell males from females. And I would like you to tell me whether they're males or they are females. You can tweet us, #WorldEarth. So just move on much little closer, and then we'll give you a clear shot.
Wow, is all I have to say. So I had female leopard tracks crossing the road before we relocated on the Shimungwe male, and we've just had a cub run out now from pretty much this rocky outcrop, and I don't know where the cub has gone in here, but you know what we're going to do is we're actually going to go back up towards this koppie, this rocky outcrop. When I say koppie, that's what I'm talking about, because there was audio now of leopards. So I don't know if it's the Pixie Pan female and her two cubs, because they were also walking in this direction. We tried to relocate on them, but we had their tracks coming up here. So I think they spent most of yesterday afternoon and this morning moving in this nice cool weather. So there might be some signal breakup. I do apologize. It's a little bit sketchy. So do bear with me. But the thing is that with these leopards, things happen like this. And I apologize if I don't look at the camera, because I just want to keep my eyes pretty much glued to the vegetation, because they blend in so well. Also have to try and not bump all their antennas. That's also a fun time. So I think it's Pixie Pan, her two cubs, and now the Shimungwe male that have met. Where are you? Come out of the bushes. The one cub just went across the road, so I'm not going to chase after that. There. You see to the left? That looks like him. That looks like Shimungwe. You can see him just slinking off. So now we need to figure out where this female has gone and where the other cub is. I don't think anything has happened, so please don't panic, because he is most likely the father was seen mating with the Pixie Pan female. So I don't think there's an issue there. I also don't know if maybe the Pixie Pan female's not actually here and she's just stashed her cub. The cubs have maybe got a fright and then run. You know, instinct to get away from another leopard. Who knows? We haven't been able to spend enough time with him to see how social he is and if he is tolerant of his offspring. I'm going to just go around the corner again. Sure, it's so difficult to see what's going on here. I can't tell you how at this time of the year the leopards, they have just got the most unbelievable camouflage. But there was definitely audio of them. If I don't see anything here, I'll go back to the main road because I wonder if that little cub is going to come back. But they're probably in here somewhere. It's because of the leopard scarf. I'm going to have to start wearing my leopard print shoes as maybe that brings some luck. I'm very, very sorry about the signal issues. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to try and turn around here and go back the way we came. No, I've done something very stupid. Now I can't drive all of a sudden. It's amazing how that happens.
Well, good luck, Taylor, and hopefully you're going to catch up with that baby leopard again. My giraffes have moved a little bit towards those trees you see there, and I want to thank all of you because you are all right. They are all males, or both of them were males, but these two males here seems to be in some form of courtship. When we were just watching that baby leopard, I saw one male was mounting the other. When I got here, they were not involved in a fight. We have noticed when giraffes go for each other, on what we call necking, in general the winner mounts the loser. But here I didn't see them fighting, and I saw a bit of courtship in them. I mean, between the two of them, they were, little necking, they were like hugging and rubbing each other on the head, on the ossicons, on the legs. That was very interesting just to see that, and I could see one genitalia of the bigger male out and like ready to mate. Well, they have moved a little bit in the thickets there. The trees, maybe they thought, the area they were was too much open, and that was an issue. Not where a couple of days ago, I think, I could be wrong, could be someplace in South Africa, and during the drive we had two lions, even more wrong, that were mating. We had two male lions that were mating. That's correct, Bungay? Yeah, Bungay thinks, he might also have had the same, that we had two male lions that were mating. It was very, very interesting to see two giraffes mating here. Now, they have all gone in the trees there, and you can see how they blend in the tree line there. Simply because it's getting late, and chances are they might want to spend the night there. So let me see if they may come out on the other side of these trees, and we'll have a better look or a better view.
There's 3 hyenas that just came closer to where this other carcass. Actually 4 hyenas. So now it'll be interesting to see how the lions are going to respond, or are they going to steal that carcass and then run off? You can see very wary of these lions. And won't just necessarily approach, but first, just quickly have a look to see what the lions are doing, possibly run and grab and then run out. This looks like a youngster just based on the amount of black on the legs. Often the older they get, the more gray, and especially around the face, they start losing some of their hair. So this is still a young hyena. Now the other ones are just behind this one. But how's this view? Look at that. Especially the colours on this white-headed vulture. Just noticed a bit of white around the head. A bit of blue, and then that bright red beak. See, there's the other hyena just off to the right. These are really brave hyenas, I agree with the viewers. I can just imagine, what I would love to hear, especially if there's more hyenas. And because with these lions we're looking at, it's just one adult one big female, and the others are subadults. So they don't have a lot of confidence, but the big lioness might have. Now, if there's a lot of hyenas, there's a good chance they could even chase these lions. But if there's only 4, the chances are the lions are going to chase the hyenas. But they are very brave. This one lioness just turned around and she's now looking directly at them. That hyena just picked up a rib. Nice and easy. Lions didn't do anything. Now the other one is probably thinking, okay, how am I going to get a little piece? So what that hyena would do is probably just move a little bit further away from where these lions are, quickly chew up that bone, and then come back. But you might just hear how this lion is crunching away at the skin, or gnawing away at the skin. Nunu, this is absolutely unbelievable to watch. It is, it's just crazy because now even in the back, it's just one of the lions got up and that's why the vultures moved off. But even at the back, we can hear some Franklin's alarm calling. And I wonder, that young male, the one that has that one leg that's, or the limp on that one leg, he was also in this area earlier on this morning, so there's a good chance that he might eventually come back and join up here. He was only probably 50 meters away from here.
Left. There. Oh my goodness. The adrenaline on trying to spot leopards in this vegetation is proving to be very stressful. Very, very stressful. Anyways, somehow I caught him as he just moved his ear. I do apologize. I have got my foot on the brake, which is terrible guiding. So we're going to roll. I'm going to start the car. Sorry, Seb. Sorry, everyone. I'm just showing you what not to do while you're on safari. Is that whatever you do, don't put your foot on the brake. Is take your foot off the brake and leave the vehicle in gear. Terrible guiding. Oh my goodness, I'm a bit rusty. But he sat quite far off the road, maybe about 50 meters, 60 meters or so, but hidden away. Now, like I said to you, we did have some audio. I don't know if the audio came from him. It wasn't anything crazy. It was kind of like a and then that was it. Or I don't know if it was the other cub. I don't know if it is a pixie band female and her cubs. I'm just speculating because her tracks and the cubs' tracks were heading in this direction. We didn't have much luck on finding them this morning, obviously. So, I don't know. He's just kind of lingering here now, waiting. Also couldn't find the other cub, but I think that little thing got such a fright, it's now hiding in and amongst the rocks, or maybe tucked in the roots underneath of a rock fig, something like that. But he's been busy. I mean, he went from sitting on the termite mound to then hiding away from us, then to getting up and marking his territory and sawing, slinking through elephants, chasing little leopard cubs, or I think maybe the leopard cubs got a fright and realized, oh, that's not Mom. And and now he's just also settling down. So the last 15 minutes have been very exciting. And it's not often that we get this kind of action at PRIDELANDS. I mean, it happens all the time. It's just, it can be quite a difficult reserve to navigate, which makes it difficult for us to sort of get to the animals, and they're also not that relaxed. So I kind of like that we don't get too close, that we keep our distance. It's nice. And of course he's up again, and guess what? He's going back the way he came. What a surprise. Can you not give us this slip again? I'm not going to move around just yet. You also hear the elephants. The elephants are completely oblivious as to what's going on this afternoon. One didn't even see the cub. Okay, Seba, you're going to keep an eye on him. I'm going to reverse. Okay, I'm going to try and relocate on this male leopard. Hopefully Sebastian will be able to keep eyes on him, and we'll try and find him again.
Welcome back, guys, and we are still with the Owino Pride, and the the 1-year-old cub has been joined by one of the females plus the 5-month-old cub. Looks like they've worked really well on this carcass. Now it is a carcass, it's no longer a wildebeest, and they're working on it really well. And this is their game. This is what they do. They eat as much as they can whenever it is available. Look at that guy. He knows that you don't play with a chance when there is food. Look at that belly. Yeah, so full. With a belly full like that, it means the next coming days, all he needs is a drink of water, and he is good to go. Yeah, the little guy also is, look at that, he's really working on that meat. Yeah, they're all scattered here. There's another young one. I don't know what's happening behind the tree there. I could see something. Yeah, but that's another young one. Looks like he's taken a little bit of meat and he's eating it by himself. Yeah. Remember, this is live. This is coming from Masai Mara in Kenya. Yes, the rain is starting, same as yesterday. Looks like it's gonna fall on us. Bear with us. We need it, although sometimes it's not very welcome, but it's nature. We can never stop it. And this is when the wildebeest get really confused. What happens is, if it rains here, the wildebeest will rush here. And because it's localized, if it rains somewhere else, they'll go there. So right now, they're going to get very confused. I'm here. Don't go anywhere.
Well, I was hoping that the owl that I had was not going to go anywhere either, but of course it knew that I wanted to show it to you. So now it has jumped down to the Moawati, but luckily it's exactly where it was when I first found it. So we'll just tuck back down into the Moawati. This is possibly Sebwig's parent, one off. Turn that down. Okay, so we know that there's 2 spotted eagle owls around the Moawati in the same area that they were last year, and we think it may be Sebwig's parents. In fact, it's very likely to be. If there wasn't a little bit of scientist in me that would said you can't be 100% certain without actually having an identifying feature, but it is Sebwig's parents. Ooh, that was hard for me to say because I can't be sure, but it is Sebwig's parents. There, I said it with more confidence. Sometimes I find that having the kind of mind of or thought process that science gives me and other scientists We want 100% proof before we can say definitely this is the case. First, I'll show you wild melons that look very cute. Look at them. They look like they're little Christmas decorations. These are wild melons. Sugar bits, you wanted to know what's the difference between a bill and a beak in birds. They're the same thing. They're just different words that are used for the exact same structure, which are the mandibles, or jaws for us in birds, where certain bones have been fused and over time have developed this beak or bill. Bills are, the word bull is usually associated though with water birds, and animals that use it to kind of wade through the water, but they are the same thing. Okay, so we should be coming up to them soon. Yes, they're trying to evade me again. Now, spotted eagle owls, like most creatures out here in the bush, very well camouflaged. And sometimes the only time I realize that we're quite close is when one of the partners fly. So it dropped down here. Now spotted eagle owls nest on the ground, so it could have dropped to the ground where I cannot see. A couple of you are asking if those melons are edible. They are. They are edible. And they're a source of water for lots of animals, especially when it's dry. But as you can see, they're quite high up. Mostly birds go for them if they can crack that hard outer melony bit. Do you see it, BK? Because I do not. Let's have a quick scan. No! I so love owls. Really, really love them. And I would have loved to have been able to show it to you. But alas, it doesn't want to be on screen today. That's okay. I'm going to have a quick look again, and then I'm going to keep moving on.
Welcome back, everybody, to PHINDA, where we've just watched the sunset disappear off to the west with this herd of wildebeest down below, and what would look like scenes from the MAASAI Mara at this time of year, but just far less wildebeest in the picture, but they're all happily grazing this evening. Wind hasn't really died down much at all. It is still quite windy. You can see they pick their heads up every so often to also make sure there are no predators around, but facing into the wind, which is always quite interesting to watch, so they can smell things coming and then listen out behind them if anything's trying to creep up on them. A couple of youngsters in this particular herd as well. Yeah, everyone just commenting on the scenery. It is beautiful. This part of the western sector of this reserve is exactly that. Offers some amazing vistas with the start of the Limpopo mountain range. I mentioned earlier that there are a couple of youngsters in this herd whose horns, I'm just trying to look now, the individual on the very far right hand side who's just lifted his head up has horns that literally just go straight up. So he was probably, or she was probably born November last year, December last year, and those are starting to develop, and then come November, December is when the rest of them will give birth. But lovely scenes this afternoon here and beyond PHINDA, with that sun that's just dipped down below the mountains to our west. and this herd of wildebeest below.
Look at this. Look at how interesting this. Here is the pixie pan female that you can just see. And she's being, look how playful she's being, how she's rolling around in the grass. Being very submissive. And I'm pretty sure that Shimongwe is on his way. Look at how gorgeous her eyes are. If you haven't seen the pixie pan female, she is a very, very pretty leopard. She's only about 4 years old, so she's still quite young, but she's got the most gorgeous eyes. She's also chopping a little bit too. She's going chop, chop, chop. So the cubs are okay. Just by the way, she's dropped them off, but both of them are reunited. They had a sighting with the female and the two cubs, so that's good to know in case you were worried. So she's just keeping an eye on him. I wonder if she's made sure the cubs are okay, left them, and now she's going to lure him away. You can see she's been quite cheeky. I don't know where the male's gone now. He was just behind her. You could obviously see that she was looking at him. You could see him. I'm going to go forward. I think. I don't know if we're going to get a better view. Just try and see. I'm also just looking back over my shoulder just to see if I can see. Oh, there he is. Okay. I think I can line us a view, so it's not going to be great. Okay, do you know what? I'm going to try and go off here. Is she? Oh, okay. Okay, so Seb, I'm going to try and do this, but it's going to be difficult because if you use that massive knobthorn, he's behind those fallen trees. Sorry, everybody. Seb is now having to film off the back of a car because Pixie Pan can't make up her mind, and neither can Shimongwe. They're both as indecisive as one another. Okay, there she is. So look at her. Is she rolling around? Oh, hey, flirting. Look at me. Look how beautiful I am. Don't you want to follow me? I reckon that. Sorry, everybody. I believe that our picture is now frozen. Please do bear with us. I'm going to keep quiet. There's a hyena as well. There's 2 hyenas. 2 leopards. Oh my goodness, that's so cool. So cool. I don't know if you can hear the growling. This is crazy. I really hope our picture has now unfrozen. Oh no. Sorry, everybody. I do apologize. We're not in the greatest area, but it's kind of worth it. So if you can, bear with us. This is just what happens when you have a live safari. There's like quite a bit of audio. She's running back because one of the hyenas are coming. She's not happy, though. Oh, 3 hyenas. Yeah, girl, you better get out of there. Now she's running towards the male. She must be getting close to him now. I think he's somewhere there. Oh, no, not behind the bushes. Oh, come on. Trees, if you could move, now would be the time to uproot yourself and get out of here. We're trying to watch the leopards. Okay. Right, we're going to try and get a better position.
We managed to find our spotted eagle owl, and yes, I have said it's 7 weeks parents, even though it was very difficult for me because you can't actually ever be sure. But here we go. In fact, there, a vehicle moved next to us, and the owl is looking straight at us, and you see those gorgeous, huge eyes. Just love those. Now, owls have the unusual ability, of course, to swing their necks around almost the full way, about 240 to about 270 degrees, which is quite a lot. And the reason that they can do that is because their beautiful eyes are not round, so they can't move them in their heads. They're actually rod-shaped or conical-shaped, so they're elongated. Which is why they need to turn their heads in order to see properly. Everyone's saying, well done for finding it. Thank you very much. Luckily, they don't fly very far. So it's just a matter of looking in the right places, I guess. Now, as they move their heads around, you yourself, don't try it at home. If you try to move it too far, or get somebody else to move it too far, it will snap. And the main blood supply to your brain will be stopped, even if your neck doesn't manage to snap, and then your brain will have no blood supply. But owls are really good at this. They have a little kind of chamber just above that area so that they can still supply their brains with blood even when their necks are turning around the full way. And they have one bone at that hinge opposed to two like we do. So they are extremely, extremely delicate and amazing creatures.
Look. There's Pixie Pan. She's just run past Shimongwe. The hyenas put Pixie Pan in a tree, and she did the most incredible jump I have ever seen a leopard do in my entire life. It was unbelievable. So obviously we know that Pixie Pan has got young cubs, and she's obviously not ready to mate, but I think that this is all a bit of a distraction to just kind of lure him away. To say, hey, oh, hello, how's it going? Because she took those cubs away, she's dropped them, and she's come back again. This is so cool. So cool. So she wouldn't be an estrus. Those cubs are maybe 6 months and a bit. So there you can see the leopards going. We'll reposition in a minute. So I really think that this is just a bit of a distraction. Okay, I'm going to reverse. Sorry, Seb. Okay. Will you keep an eye on that animal? So I'm going to try and focus. Oh, there's also guinea fowl that are going to come into the mix in a minute. My favorite. I did hear them making quite a bit of noise. I saw them run across the road behind me. So there's a hyena. Can you see the leopard, Seb? Sorry. So I can't keep an eye on the leopards and reverse. It's a little bit too much. Oh, there they are. Don't worry, I found them. Straight through at the back. This, I think, might be the last view that we have of the leopards, even if we get a view. But they're just slinking quite far back the vegetation now. They're all the way there. They are. There, one is just disappearing now, and they are just giving directions to the other guides in the sighting so that they can try and follow up on them. At least if we can keep a view from here, we can try and guide them in and give them an accurate, well, I suppose, idea as to where to go to them. But yeah, I think she's a very, very clever girl. I mean, it's quite exciting. It's amazing what these animals will do for the survival of their young ones and themselves. But I think that was quite exciting. Whew. Sure, I don't know about you, but my adrenaline is through the roof.
There's behind this hyena, there's more hyena on their way, but also there's that little jackal that eventually made his way in, grabbed a little bit of the rib, and then ran off. And so if we give it some time, who knows, maybe those jackals can come back, or that jackal can come back. But look at this hyena, carefully maneuvering closer and closer. This might be the one that could go and steal that carcass. The hyena just grabbed her, looks like a piece of a rib. It's so interesting that even though all of that is happening, these lions are just watching them. had this carcass been smaller, maybe they didn't have a lot to eat, it would have probably been a different story. You see these lions are tolerating the vultures as well as the hyenas. There's another hyena that just came in from the left. I thought I heard some movement through the grass. Now that hyena is also maneuvering or making its way closer to that carcass. And there's the jackal, right there at the carcass. If you look at the little patch of white fur right next to the nose, it almost looks like this jackal is smiling. How incredible is this to watch? Joy, they are absolutely beautiful, these jackals. And just look at the different colors. Hyena just chased the jackal. I mean, I'm sure the jackal's not going to just let it stand there. Probably get back to the carcass. You can see the way that he's moving his tail, lowering his ears. He does not like the vultures around it. There's something that just moved behind this one bush. I'm not too sure where it is. It might just be there's a lion trying to catch a vulture. So one of the lions got up and started running. So we're trying to get the vulture. Now, of course, he left this carcass, or the bit of skin that's left now. The one male, as well as that bigger female, decided they're going to claim it. Now let's see how they're going to respond. Now that was hers before she left to try and chase those vultures off. What I want to try and do, I just want to be quiet so you can hear the snarl, like the way or how they snarl at one another. You can't hear it now, but hopefully as that other one comes closer, we'll be able to hear it. David, it does look like the hyenas are doing that. But it's crazy because you're sitting here and they're just taking one bit at a time, They're so patient because it's not like they're just running and stealing everything or trying to chase the lions off. They're just like going, grabbing a little bit, moving away, coming back, grabbing some more and going. And slowly but surely, they're just taking little bits at a time. And eventually they'll probably clean up everything. I'm just trying to see. We can't see too much more on the back, but there was that little jackal that just disappeared in the grass. And of course the one lioness decided to move in behind the termite mound. But it still looks like this other lioness is staring very intently down in that direction. I don't know what she's looking at. Possibly those hyenas or maybe even the jackal. But an absolutely amazing sighting this afternoon, to be able to sit here and watch these lions, the hyenas, the jackal and the vultures, and see how they all interact with one another.
This is amazing. I'm so glad you got to see that. We got to share that with you. It all sounded outstanding. Meanwhile, on Trish's side, you can see the legs of the spotted eagle owl. Yes, we're looking at your legs. We hardly get to see the legs because we see them front on. Sorry, I didn't mean to speak about your legs. But they're very nice legs. It was actually standing on one leg earlier, which I've never seen an owl do. But then again, how often do we get to see their legs fully? Now, birds will do that so that they can prevent or halve the heat loss that is associated with fewer feathers on their legs. So they'll stand on one leg to hold the one leg closer to its body. Now we were thinking a little bit. The light is dying, yes. It is getting quite dark, but I don't think if our... Oh! Wow, it's so strange when they move their body and not their necks. Weird things going on. Excuse my owl movement there. Colleen, you would like to know if they have any predators. These owls? Not really. They're quite formidable predators on their own. Most owls are, and they're quite large owls. They're about 700 grams. So these owls tend not to have very many predators. The young, however, they will have predators because other predatory birds are after any young of other birds. But no, they don't have any true predators. I mean, and strangely I should say that because that is the same tree that the python was seen in. You had a sighting with a python, I think it was with James. And it was in that same tree. If a python managed to get hold of that owl, it would have a feast. It was with Lauren, there we go. If the python managed to get hold of that animal, it would have a feast, but they're so unlikely. You are not going to sneak up on an owl. Owls are ninjas of the bush, quietly come through. Numerous adaptations to their feathers. They're absolute ninjas. That's why you can tell, can you, that I love them. Alright, off we go. Let's see what else the bush has to offer.
Just listen to the low grumblings from especially that female to the left. It's quite soft, so we might not be able to hear it clear, but I'll just be quiet for a little while so we can try and listen. Now there's the jackal coming in, that's what they're looking at. So they just stopped their growling. That one lioness is still looking at the back, but if we move in closer there, roughly, the jackal is probably at the same place he was earlier now. Because it's starting to get dark, you'll notice we've gone into infrared, is because of we're losing quite a bit of light. And with us losing light, the vultures are no longer going to be feeding on this carcass. They'll be waiting up in the trees until they can see in the day and then come back again. However, I don't think there's going to be anything left after this evening, because the jackal is moving in. You can see there, right in the back. The hyenas are going to be moving in, so there's not going to be anything left by this morning. There's already not a lot left. But just judging by the amount of hyenas we've seen moving around, milling around here, there's a good chance they're going to take as much as they possibly can, probably everything, and then move off and head towards the dens. Just by looking at that carcass and also just judging their behavior, it's not going to be long before these lions eventually start moving on. Remember the rest of the pride we found earlier, and they were quite close to that one waterhole. So the chances are really good that eventually these lions are going to leave this carcass and then start heading in the direction of the waterhole to possibly go and have a drink and join up with the rest of the pride. And there's a bigger female off to the left is just yawning constantly. So often with the lioness, or with lions in general, if they do start yawning, there's a good chance that they can eventually get up. We always say they become more active, so it looks like they might be doing more and more. But I agree with the viewers. I really hope this jackal can get enough. Now, just looking at the condition of that jackal earlier on, it looked like he was in a good condition. So I'm sure he's well looked after. And I'm sure he's just going to make the most out of every little bit of scrap that he can get. The other lioness is moving a little bit closer. She's actually dragging her leg towards the rest. Now, in relation to where she came from and where that jackal was, he actually took a big chance because he was really close to this one female as he was trying to get through some of the scraps, because she was probably, I would probably estimate close to 8-9 meters away from that jackal. And eventually jackal still milling around at the back, grabbing some scraps. They are just so relaxed at the moment, and it just feels like there's no rush for them to head anywhere pretty soon. Even that lioness earlier on that started yawning and moving quite a bit eventually decided to just go and lie down with the head flat. And I do agree with most of our viewers. How amazing was this afternoon? I mean, all the sightings across all the different areas, the different countries, and just being able to spend the afternoon and appreciate these African animals and seeing them in their natural environment. It's absolutely amazing. And it's just an experience you can't describe to someone. even for us sitting the whole afternoon and watching the different interactions from the predators, the scavengers, seeing even the interaction between the different type of vultures as well was pretty amazing. Look at how these two just swapped. So the one left the leg, came back to the skin, and that's how they swap. And you can just hear there's some low grumblings. This one male off to the right is so tired, he's actually laying down with his head on top of the skin. But as with most of our viewers, that would tend to agree, what an amazing afternoon. And who knows what the morning is going to bring for us. So let's jump on tomorrow and see what we can get. But for everyone, I hope you have a lovely rest of your day.
This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.